Hello, welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven, and I'll be in-game today running more of the Song of Waves and Wind after we do a little bit of news, which I'll have here in a minute. Hope you're having a good weekend here. Hope you're having fun and the Lord of the Rings online. And yes, I need a wizardly standard time. I need to hit pause for just like a minute, maybe five. But I'm here, and hopefully things are going okay. It's another hot day in Massachusetts. I've got some fans running. Hopefully it's not picking up too bad, and that's where we are. So what do we have going on really this weekend? We really have. Let me double check my dating on this. We really just had like the end of a couple of things here for the July 4th holiday. Midsummer has come to an end. Our free coupon for Magic the Gathering Online recently ended. Real soon, we've got Filbert Fig arriving. That'll be one of the new Figment Moat vendors. Not new, but a few things are going to be added to it if I understood my notes correctly. And we also have a patch set for next week. That'll be update 36.1. And I'll actually have a preview of the release notes here in just a minute. We also have Hobnanigans happening in early August. We've got a Loot Box Embers Moats boost happening next weekend and a Skirmish Mark boost the weekend after that. We're doing some work behind the scenes to update the Lotro store. We'll have more information about when that's going to be rolling out here in the coming weeks. Don't have an ETA exactly, but I think perhaps something maybe around the first half of August is what it's currently looking at for that one. And we've got some good sales happening as well, and I do want to mention those because this is your final weekend to get it. So if you're not aware and you think you might be interested, we have got through July 9th, 25% off Fate of Gundabad, 50% off War of Three Peaks, 75% off Mordor, and 75% off Minas Morgul. These are the expansions in the Lotro market. Not the in-game store, but rather through the Lotro market, which you can find through Lotro.com. If you don't have Mordor or Minas Morgul yet, you probably want to jump on that, because 75% off. War of Three Peaks at 50% off is good, and Fate of Gundabad at 25% off as well. But you only have through July 9th to get that, so I want to make sure I get the word out, because sometimes people are like, well, I really want the expansion, but I want to wait till it goes on sale. It's on sale, so do it now. On top of that, we have double bonus points plus also happening through July 9th. You'll get your double bonus points. That's twice the bonus points with your package of points that you purchase, along with an Elixir of Virtue through July 9th. This is also our final week for summer sales. Now this runs a little bit later because this goes through July 13th, but we have 35% off the Middle-earth Essentials Pack, 50% off Crafting and Dye Carry-alls, and 75% off Milestone Skills. So our final week of summer sales is also happening this week. Yeah, I actually wondered if maybe the fans might be slightly picking up. I can move a little closer. I need to get a better mic situation. So I had let me just show you on camera here. This is what I'm using right now for a microphone stand. I had like kind of one of those big regular stage style stands, but it fell apart on me this summer. And I just haven't gotten around to find a better solution yet. I need something that's between a floor stand and a mic stand that isn't a desk clip, because I've also used desk clips, and the problem with desk clips is they pick up too many vibrations from the old desk that I'm using here. So I need to figure something out for the microphone. I don't know. I've actually been considering whether I should swap over to a headset maybe for the stream. I'm kind of picky on my microphones, but maybe a headset's the better solution here rather than all these cords and mics and stands and things. But the other thing I've considered is maybe I should swap over to like a lavalier mic for the show as well. So we'll see what I end up doing there. But for now, we're just going to kind of have to deal with it And here you can enjoy my microphone being. See, it's too far away, right? Because we got good foot or so it's blown out and picking up a little bit of the fan noise and things from the room. Like, I've used a desk clip, and that works good in terms of bringing the mic close to my face, but it doesn't work good in terms of picking up all the vibration from the table. And also, I don't want to spend like $200 on a mic stand. So, all right, yeah. So let me get out this promo. This one's from chat. Thanks, Yao, for bringing this up. You can vote for your favorite houses in the D&Co du Milieu Housing Week contest, and you can find out more information about that over on the Lotra forums, presumably also in the Deco du Milieu Twitter account as well. I know, cord jokes. I'm cordless. It's true. Yeah. Yeah, this ring actually is from the early Shadows of Angmar Collector's Edition, I believe, right? That's where those originally came from. We ended up with a box of them in the office for many years. They were just kind of in storage. We had a drawer full of them. And then when we needed to clean out room and make some room for it, we dismantled the boxes and kept the bits that we wanted to give away, like the Mordor maps, or not Mordor maps, but Moria maps, art books, and rings, and we gave them out during community meetups for a number of years. But I wanted to make sure I grabbed one for myself. All right. So let me switch scenes here. And bring up the release notes. Now, I should mention, as always, we're not live yet. This is next Wednesday. Things probably will get added. Some things may be incorrect. It's going literally through the review process yesterday and today. So if you read something, or if I say something this week and next week hits and you're like, you said it was the thing, and the thing isn't the thing, just be aware that I'm giving you this caveat about me reading these out loud early as a preview on stream. Because I know you like me to do it, and I like to do it too. But it's the nature of in-process information that, it's hopefully accurate as of the time I put it on the air, but it's not guaranteed to be. So, grain of salt and everything. One of the things happening with Update 36.1, like I said, tentatively set for next Wednesday, is we found a performance fix for the Treasurebugen event. And the reason that is particularly relevant is we have got the Treasurebugen event happening. I don't have it on the calendar yet. I need to check to see when the calendar for that is. But in the relatively near future, we're going to be bringing back the Treasurebugen event. And this will allow us to do it. There's really a quest bestowal issue with the Treasurebugen event that was causing a client hitch, and we didn't want to go live with the Treasurebugen event until we got that fixed. So now we will. The Brawler of As-Dunoth armor set will now be correctly named and equipped to the correct slots. Some early quest weapons are now properly categorized and searchable in the wardrobe, things like hammers, axes, daggers, clubs. You see here, we're actually doing an update to the loot boxes here with Update 36.1. We're going to have some new stuff. The Adventurers and Travelers Steelbound loot boxes are getting new items like Horse Archer's cosmetic items, including some Avatar cosmetics, a steed, and matching war steed appearances. On the cosmetic pet front, we got Copper Netherhounds, and it says buff donkey. Well, that's actually one of the things that I need to check before I go live with this. Is it really buff? Is that what we're calling it? Or is it supposed to be bluff donkey? I don't know. I need to check into that. But it's at least as written in the external note that was given to me as buff donkey. So I guess it's going to be a donkey that pumps iron. Plus new and classic housing items, including a potted palm, jerboa house, fox and fiddle inn signpost, vase of white clover, and vase of cockscomb. These items are also available with Filbert Fig for Figments of Splendor. And as you saw, Filbert Fig is set to arrive roughly with the release here of Update 36.1. We've also moved off some older Avatar cosmetics and steeds from Filbert Fig and onto the Curator. So the Curator is going to have that stuff in the future if you need it. We also have a Jerboa cosmetic pet and Steed of the Eldar. I'll probably fix up that text a little bit to include it into one. For landscape work, we have added a Brawler trainer to the Orthanc Oxclan merchant camp, and due to lore reasons, we have to get rid of the Beorning trainer. I guess it just doesn't really make sense to have a Beorning representation there. We have done a bunch of polish on landscapes related to floating objects, buried resources, terrain seams, Z-fighting, physics issues, stuck spots, and terrain texture issues. And then both entrances to the Heron Auction Hall are now properly labeled. A quick localization text fix for Embers of Enchantment received from the Adventurer's Quartermaster in German. And in the Lotro store and market, once per account deliveries, such as expansion pack, expedition supplies, and supporter pack starter items, will require you to have the novice trait before delivery. This is really a matter of a CS issue, as it were, where just too many folks were accidentally sending this stuff to a level 1 character that they would then delete, and then need to reach out to us to get it repaired. So we're gonna, or get it replaced. So you gotta have novice in order to get this stuff. And then once you achieve novice, it'll be delivered to you if you don't have a character you've logged into prior with the novice trait. We fixed the turtles and the terrible turtle trouble. They're now gonna get Sauron's Wrath and Sauron's Blessing properly. We've done a quick PvMP fix for next week. A couple Orc Defiler appearances were changed recently, and they've been corrected. The Boar Tribe Chieftain appearance has been returned to its original state, and the U-34 Ultimate Edition Defiler appearance has been returned to its intended Boar Tribe state. The name of the trait's been corrected as it changes your appearance into that of a Boar Tribe Orc, not a Mordor Orc. And then we've got a quick UI map icon fix for the Renewal of Gondor Quartermaster here. So that's really what we have happening next week. It is a 36.1 patch, and then, we've got update 37 here happening sooner rather than later. The Beorning trainer will be with all the other trainers. It's just in that one specific location, we had to make a change for lore reasons on it. Things like Bray Tractus, saying, I hope they get to fixing the frill pop-in eventually. Yeah, that's what that list of landscape stuff is taking care of some of the seams and things like that. Although, now that I'm reading it out loud, frill pop-in is often related to draw distance based on your graphics quality setting and some of the settings you have in advanced graphics as well. So, and some of it is required for general game performance reasons. So I don't know that we're ever going to necessarily have perfectly smooth frill pop-in, because ultimately there is a process to add frills to the game. And, a fix would be to not display it until it's ready to go. And nobody wants that. So I think, to some extent, it's an artifact of how the game is. I'm not sure that we're entirely going to be able to prevent frill popping, but perhaps in the future we'll be able to do a little bit more there. And yes, that means it's also going to be available for Figments, not just on loot boxes. And yes, the old Steed of the Eldar is indeed coming to the loot boxes as an option. Any change for Champ soon? I'm not entirely sure what you're referencing there. I talked last week, and we've talked before about how we're working on all the classes this year. I don't think Champion is on the immediate list. We've got other classes that we're working on first. But yes, we will be getting to all of the classes if we haven't already. So hopefully that is a positive news for you. Yeah, thanks, Soft Snake, for kicking me the last bit of news that I can think of here that I wanted to mention before I do a little bit of gameplay. And that is, this week has been hopping in the realms of social media. Twitter, there's a thread on the Lotro forums, and we've had feedback from the Lotro community in recent months related to Twitter making some changes to the way that it displays things. Twitter recently instituted a rate limit, which doesn't impact most people, but if you're a big scroller through news, and particularly if you subscribe or follow a ton of stuff on Twitter, you've been maybe running into it, which is that you're only allowed to see a certain number of things per day. And on top of that, you need to be logged in order to see it. Now, that latter bit was actually probably the more critical issue, because a lot of Discords, forum users who don't want Twitter, but they want to be able to see what's on Twitter, etc., people who have kind of turned Twitter feeds into custom news feeds and things like that for their website, guild sites, and what have you, suddenly basically was like a big old nope. I obviously don't control Twitter. I'm something like $44 billion short, but apparently, there have been some changes there, and it's been something that we've been looking into. So this week, there's a big old new social media that started up, that began socialing its media, and that is Threads, run by Meta/Facebook. They're called Meta now. And it seems to have gotten really popular in a very short amount of time. Last I heard, based on information from last night, which was not official information, but it was being shared around by various news sources, is that they've roughly received 45 million signups in the first 48 hours. Basically, they've been out 2 days, and they're already at 45 million users. So it looks like we may actually have a pretty solid Twitter alternative happening here in the near future. There's a lot of great social media networks out there that were trying to compete with Twitter over the past couple of years. But it looks like Meta's Instagram-fueled Threads is seeing some traction that a lot of others have not. So as a result, yesterday, I did the work to create a Threads account for the Lord of the Rings Online. I saw someone say on the forums today, it was like, what, Lotro wasn't available? Yeah, apparently. It was weird, though. I didn't see a Lotro, I had to pick a username. And I tried Lotro, and it said that username can't be used. It gave me it didn't really say why I couldn't use it, it just said I couldn't use it. Okay. So instead I went with the Lord of the Rings Online. So, we are at threads.net/at the Lord of the Rings Online. If you happen to be using Threads, please do give us a follow. Tell your friends. Tell your celebrity friends. What have you. But we did start it up. And there's also one for Dungeons & Dragons Online and one for Standing Stone Games as well. DDO is DDO Unlimited, which has been their kind of usual social media URL moniker for a decade plus now, well, since 2009. And then Standing Stone Games are just Standing Stone Games. Now, at this point, I haven't actually done much. I just have one post up about Update 36, basically saying, yo, this is the official Threads feed for Lotro. But it took a while to set all this stuff up yesterday. It took me like 3 hours really to get it all set up. Because it's all powered through Instagram, which is powered through your Facebook account. And so if you're a brand or, say, a large company like Lotro and that has, 500,000 followers on Facebook, it tends to be a little bit of a process to officially onboard to some of these new platforms, even if they're owned by the same people. So it was a thing. But I did get it set up, and I'm going to start using it. So if you've been running into issues on Twitter, getting the news feeds, sales, and what have you, maybe check out Threads if you're interested. If you don't want to, there's been a lot of discussion about social media and what value it brings and how we specifically have been using it over the past few months. For the most part, everything that is on social media you can get elsewhere. Let's be real here. I don't put much special and exclusive information on social media. It'll get screenshots and that won't be necessarily put elsewhere. But other than maybe a couple of Hey Bull Roars happening next week or something like that, we don't do a lot of exclusive information on social media. And I would expect to see that continue as well. So, but it is there for those who want it. And we'll see what happens there. If it blows up and gets real big and people are into it, sure, we'll use that as we need to. But long and short of it is, you should also get basically all the same information if you are using our launcher news feed or going to Lotro.com or going to the forums. Occasionally, forums doesn't get a few things that don't make sense. But for the most part, it's all the same info going out to the same place. And the reason that is it gets into like a notepad document where I've got the final text, and that's my checklist. Have I done the launcher, the website, the forums, social media? And it all is the same thing going the same place. But there is one specific advantage of Threads here, which is that we'll see what happens, right? I don't want to get too political or anything like that, but Threads is theoretically based on decentralized social media technology. That might be an interesting term if you're a community manager, maybe less so if you're not. But what that theoretically means is that in the future, you will be able to take your social media output, your feed, and it will be interoperable between other social media networks that are on decentralized platforms. To date, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Hive, maybe not Hive, I don't know. Some of the others, MySpace, have been centralized platforms, and that means that they're owned by a company, and all the things you put on your feed is owned, theoretically, by them. But a decentralized platform aims in the future to be interoperable, similar to the way that you could get an RSS feed and various RSS feed readers and just sort of use whatever RSS feed reader you want. So in the future, theoretically, your Threads feed could be the Glorp, the Gwump feed and the Blork feed and the whatever they end up using for social media platforms. And so that's kind of cool. But that also generally hints at the idea that this is going to be more versatile in the way that you can use it for things like Discords or kinship websites and what have you. So, there we go. And yes, I'm also well aware that Threads is not at all available in most of Europe right now outside of the UK. It has to do with GDPR compliance and the relatively stricter privacy rules that the European Union has versus everyone else. And yes, Mastodon specifically is also decentralized. But anyway, it kind of blew up this week. I know that the Lotro community has been somewhat concerned about what's been happening on Twitter related to their ability to access our social media and use it on their kinship websites and Discords. And this may end up proving a solution, at least in the short term. We'll see. So, all right. Enough social media talk. Actually, that's not true. Someone mentioned MySpace. MySpace is great. I loved MySpace. I was one of those people that got really upset when Facebook dominated MySpace. I was like, no! I want MySpace instead. That was the best. It was the best. Okay, now I'm done talking about social media. So we're running the Song of Waves and Wind, which debuted with Update 36 here. And I'm, at this point, mostly just defeating wild beasts and engaging in quests throughout. GeoCities was pretty cool, too. You know, it's interesting, there's a lot of this stuff is kind of... It disappears from the world when it goes away.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Defeat Oryx, now that I can do. Okay. As a matter of fact, you're awful close to the road there. Bad call, dude. We should all just use Usenet news groups. We peaked. We peaked then. ICQ was the pinnacle of social media. We should all just get thermal printers, write our thoughts down on that, and then send letters to each other with our comments. You receive a letter in the mail. It's on thermal paper. It just says, "You suck." What? Noob. Way down the line, Eros asks, we're doing post-war Gondor. Any chance we could see a post-war Rohan? Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I wouldn't, you know, that's nothing like me announcing anything like that. I mean, the team has got a large stack of possibilities that we could do in the future, but the concept of returning to Rohan and doing something there seems totally plausible in terms of someday in the future thing. So, you know, while I have nothing to announce today about that, sure sounds like something we might do. I mean, why not, right? And like you said, it would be neat to have a post-war version of that. I specifically need to go after some orcs here. Yeah, Mandalore, that's a very good point. You're basically talking about how, hey, this that B there is a reason to justify the stat squish. Look at the amount of morale that specific B has. And yeah, totally. I saw some comments on the forums. There's still some level of concern among folks about what the stat squish might mean in terms of, are things going to get harder, are things going to get easier, you know, what have you. And I would just reiterate really what I said last week, which is that the general intention is it should be largely a net neutral change. The numbers will change. The gradation between the values will change as you level up. But the actual impact in terms of what the number represents versus what an older number prior to a stat squish represents should be the same. You know, if something was 100 under today and it's 10 after we do the stat squish, the 10 is going to mean just as much as the 100 meant when that was done. At least that's the goal. You will see a little bit of variation just because if you're removing some of the wider array of, you know, wider spectrum of numbers that are possible, you're consolidating a little bit of the finer sort of detail that could be there. But in general, it's going to be a net neutral change. It really shouldn't make a difference in terms of power levels or game balance or any of that kind of thing. Because it really doesn't touch game balance. It just touches statistics and number displays. And that's really what it's about. So, you know, it is true, I suppose, that if in the past you were able to have a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and now you've got 10, 11, 12, you know, you theoretically have fewer options there. But we got smart folks working on it. It should be fine. I don't think it'll actually, in practice, really make much of a difference. Alright, who is this person? They must be up there. They must be up there. I've got that ring that's bothering me. I need to go up there. And that is different from, say, a level squish, which generally involves, even if the goal is somewhat the same, it generally involves a little more variation in terms of the impact in a practical sense. But we're not doing a level squish. We're doing a stat squish. So this is really a numbers thing. And the general idea of why you would do it is improved readability, generally being able to wrap your brain around what the stats and benefits mean in a way that is a little trickier when you're dealing with 861, 630,000 morale. So, I don't think item level will necessarily change that much. I think it would be more what the numbers represent within the item level range. But I will have to follow up on that, because it's possible that there could be some consolidation of eye levels or something like that. I don't think I have specifically heard of any thoughts about doing that, but that could be a little bit of the process. It's possible. Heading back. There's obviously a lot of fine details and paragraphs and subparagraphs that are going to be involved in doing a stat squish like that. But we'll get it sorted out.
What can I do for you?
Should I head up to the garden first? I suppose I should head up to the garden. That's been sitting in my quest log for a bit. Let's do that. All this. Hey, thanks, Orion. Orion is in the chat. All stats are getting adjusted. That does mean that the contributions and numbers that are on the items will be modified, but the item level itself will not change. That means I was basically correct, where I said the eye level won't change, but what the numbers mean will. Truth.
Might I take a moment of your time?
Thank you, Orion, for joining me.
Will you lend me your ear?
At some point, we'll need you on the show to talk about the crafting update and some other things. Oh, I could also mention, related to the update 36.1 loot box additions, that I'm going to be working later this afternoon on a web page, a website article for the loot box. We're going to have some of the screenshots of the new stuff on there. Should be live latter half of next week. Okay. Need to deal with someone who's struggling from the toils of war, sadly. A lot of people are looking forward to the crafting update. We'll talk more about it as we get closer, and I've got someone to actually field some questions. You know, anything I would be saying today would be basically just speculation on my part. We have some information about the future crafting update that's been put on the forums, but there's a ton of unanswered questions that we'll make sure we get answered as we get closer to it. Restoring farmland. Concerned about the increased population of badgers. Yeah, I mean, I was attacked by a couple of them just a little while ago. They're acting like they're from Wisconsin or something. That's a Wisconsin Badgers joke, by the way. They're on two legs wearing little sweaters when they got fists.
Yes, I know of him. In fact, I wish his name had come to my attention less lately.
We have someone who is causing troubles.
If you are here to help, I ask that you seek out Chief Healer Bruniel in the Hall of the Gentle Hand.
Alright, looks like we're heading back to town a bit. We are also on the verge of being able to tell you more about Lindleby Housing that you know about, a little bit more about River Hobbits that you'll know about, a lot more about Update 37 as that gets ready to get previewed on Bullroar. It won't be too soon, I don't think. I think we've got a little while yet before we can really expect to see much there. But it's not that far away either, so. Yeah, within what am I looking at my schedule here? Yeah, it'll be a little while yet. It looks like we're looking at least a couple of weeks yet before we start to see more about Bull Roar. But, you know, a couple weeks. Ah, there you are. You know, maybe I shouldn't get off the horse to run to him. Alright, I'll talk. Why are there so many steps? I know the feeling. Why, wait. I said I'll talk. You're wasting your time with me anyway. Really want Mengar. He paid me to organize the shipment of his stone down to Arnok in the Harland. He's at the warehouse in the eastern part of the city. The dude likes to fight. I have no problems with that. I got you, dude. And this is related to the poor quality stone that we had seen earlier as they were working to rebuild in Gondor, renewed, in this new region, post-war. Some of the stone wasn't meeting strict building standards. Wasn't getting past QA as they say. So, Jalix Brown, I work for the company that makes the Lord of the Rings Online. So, when you ask me whether or not our game is worth playing, you know, free to play, I'm going to tell you yeah. But it looks like the community here is also coinciding, or, is agreeing with me that there is a ton you can do in the Lord of the Rings Online as a just free player. We of course want to make sure we provide lots of value to people who are willing to support us, but I wouldn't let that stop you from playing. I think I'm in the... okay. Is this the... yeah, here we go. Okay, what? So I had thought there was a ring here. I'm not... oh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for, I bet. Yes, he has. Take care of a few brutes on my way out, just for good measure. That's what you get for standing by the door. But I've always felt so. I've actually, been I was a player before I was hired, and I was hired in 2010. So it was a long time ago. But I have always felt that our games offer tremendous value to people who just want to play for free. Yeah, you're going to run into some restrictions on newer content and have a few fewer options related to things like classes and races, but the amount without this being a legally binding statement, I will say it is very easy to be just totally free and spend hundreds of hours with these games. And if that's not good value, what is? Also, why am I'm like stuck somewhere. This ain't right. How did I end up here? Well, let me just do this the I work for the company way. There we go.
So, mind
Gonna have to make a note of that afterwards.
That does not surprise me.
Yes. So, Druid's Fire, thanks for bringing up the soundtrack. Last week I released the Update 32 soundtrack, and I ran out of time this week to get the next one done. But we should be able to get the next one done in the relatively near future, I would think. So maybe next week? If I have time to get it done today, I will look into it, but I'm pretty positive I won't, just because I know everything I need to do today. But in the coming months, I would say next quarter, we should have all the soundtracks all the way clear up through 36 on our YouTube channel. youtube.com/Lord of the Rings. Pay my respects before I head on out of here. Can someone who doesn't know much about Lord of the Rings still get into Lotro? Yes. It may well be that playing our game might be the thing that gets you into Lord of the Rings. If you haven't to date. But it's... because you could play this just like any other, fantasy setting. You don't have to be, a Tolkien scholar or something like that to play our game. But you can be. So, we cater to, I think, a wide variety of players and play styles, and that's one of the things I've always really enjoyed about our game. So if you don't know anything about Lord of the Rings Online and you just want to swing swords and ride horses and fight orcs and things, you could totally do that. But if you do have a deeper sense of the game and the lore, Tolkien's work, and what have you, you'll also, I believe, get a lot out of the game. A lot more out of the game, perhaps, as well. But you don't need to know anything in order to do it. Yeah, that's fine. I have a son ready for lunch, as am I. Did I accidentally confirm Lindleby housing? No, I didn't. Nobody heard anything. I didn't say anything. Can't prove it. There's totally not video record of me saying whatever it is I didn't say. Oops. Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Let me think. Wow, this is a pretty extensive place, is it not? Alright, let me double check. What was I supposed to do here? I thought there was a quest ring leading me here. Now I am not seeing anything. Yes, there is. Which one? Oh, encrypted note. Okay, so Brunil. Where is Brunil? Okay. Yo, dude, where you at? Oh, there we go. All right. Sorry, lady.
I heard you were quite instrumental in assisting with the defense against the enemy.
So Rendis oversaw the care of medical texts in this hall. She took her job very seriously and vanished one day, along with a bunch of important texts. She recently found a note that she had left behind that might explain her disappearance, but it's written in a medical shorthand unfamiliar to me. Will I take the note to someone who does? In the potions wing of the hall. So, let's find the potions wing. It's a really nice place. Those are like oh. Sorry. Yeah, people are wounded here, right? This would be, because this is post-war, and there are, you know, healers doing great work throughout. But whenever you've got battle like that, you do have trauma. It's an interesting little touch to say.
You say you may have a clue to the whereabouts of Rennes. We'll get it here.
So it looks like, are they going to be... Okay. So it looks like I need to head to the market, but I think we're basically out of time. So I think I will pop on out and then wrap up the show. I really appreciate you joining me here for Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. We've got the Tolkien Professor coming up in just a few minutes, and then Druid's Fire will be on right after that. You can find the full list of streamers over on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'll be back next Friday with more, and really appreciate you joining me. These shows get archived on both Twitch and YouTube. We're doing 60 frames a second now, so I'm not currently doing it on Facebook. And you can always find the video on demand afterwards if you don't want to see it live. So if you're watching this afterwards, thank you. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that sort of thing, to let us know that you watched it. Really appreciate it. Let me see if we have any final questions before I wrap up the show. Yeah, Big Ed, who will be on late tonight, is a free-to-play player as well. Someone in their 7th year of free-to-play, that'll tell you something. I'm just going through chat before I call it. Alright, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you again next week. Have fun.